How much was, I guess, how much was spent on working on the mind compared to just working on the physical?
Yeah, like this is the thing. I know it's probably changed now, but then like it was terrible. Nothing was spent on the mind. There was nothing. All the things I'm learning now, like I've got a therapist now. Imagine, like I didn't even have that when I was an athlete. That's insane. I had this,
Mm.
I had some sports psychologists and stuff, but I didn't even see the merit in it that at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like yeah, it's crazy. There was literally nothing spent on the mind. Like yeah, I have insane amount of resilience that I didn't even know I had
Mm.
until like until like stuff happened to me in terms of, and that's purely athletic stuff, not like raw, not like
No.
world life stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was barely anything spent in mind. The only time it started to be spent on the mind, like I got a psychologist and stuff. I actually 2003 when I was going into the 2004 Olympics, Dave Collins, who then became out of 2004 became Alex, he was my sports psychologist, and actually he did help me kind of reframe my mind, my thinking a little bit.
Yeah.
He did in 2003 going into Olympics in 2004. Because if you saw me as an athlete in 2003 and 2004, I was a totally different athlete, not just because of Dave Collins, but because of a conversation I had with my coach after the World Championships in 2003.
Mm.
And it switched my thinking totally. And at that point, I became a professional athlete. Even though I'd been a professional athlete for like 3 or 4 years before, that conversation switched my whole mind. And then Dave Collins came on board, I think a few months or whatever leading up to Olympics. And then, getting into Olympic final and that was a totally different athlete at that point. But that just tells you, if I'd had that 3 years before, maybe I would have been a different athlete. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I actually remember, because I remember the years you just spoke about, the difference between one year to the other, and you can clearly see like it was a switch had just been turned on, and you were just a completely different athlete the next year.
Yeah, I was a totally different athlete. 2003 was the most embarrassing. I remember my coach. I went to World Championships in Paris, in France, and I forgot her name, but she got caught for drugs. I forgot her name. Kim? Is it Kim? Anyway, it was Dwayne Chambers' whole saga thing. But anyway, I was in Paris. I was doing 2003 was when I became a 200 meter runner. Okay, 2003 is a whole different tragedy. So 2003. Let me tell you what happened in 2003.
Yeah.
Okay, I had never run the 200 meters really. I hated the 200 meters.
Wow.
I would only the 200 meters. I would rarely ever double up in the championships ever. In a British, qualifying or whatever. I would never do it. I would always do the 100 meters. I hated the 200 meters. So 3As, it was called 3As now. I think it's called UK champs or something like that. But 3As, went to the 100 meters. I should have won the 100 meters. I had Red Bull. I'm going to just be 100%. I had never had Red Bull. Red Bull had become the thing that everybody was having. I had Red Bull before the 100 meter final, right? I don't do well on caffeine. I didn't know that at that point. I don't do well on caffeine. I don't do it on these like artificial drinks and stuff. But because everybody was having it and it was free and the thing, I thought, let me drink Red Bull. Totally fucked up my routine. Went into this final, jittery as fuck, like totally jittery. And I came second. Joyce Madawaka beat me, right? Oh, yeah. I remember I was like, and I hadn't qualified for the World Championships. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Tony, my coach, Tony Lester said, you got to do 200 meters. I remember going into went to my hotel room. I was just in tears. I didn't want to do the 200, but I knew I had to do it. And I was vexed. I was angry as fuck, right? Went to this, did the first round of 200 meters, whatever. I can't remember what I ran. I ran that and then got into the final. Ran that final like there was a dog chasing me. I had no technique. I didn't even know how to run the 200 meters. I ran 22.9. Yeah, I hadn't even broken 23.5 ever. Wow. I ran 22.9. I qualified for the World Championships. I didn't even know, like, I was like, because I hated lactic. And so the 200 meters is like, anyway, got into that, won the 200 meters, went under 23 seconds. And that is like, for a 200 meters runner, like a newbie, going under 23 seconds puts you like on the, you're not world class, but you are verging on that.
Yeah.
So I was like 22.9. That's when I didn't even know how to run the 200. Now my coach is teaching me how to run this 200 meters. 200. Nobody knew I was a 200 meter runner. I didn't know I was a 200 meter runner. And then went to the World Championships in France, in Paris, for the 200 meters. Oh my God, it was abysmal. I think, was it the first or second round? I think I got knocked out in the second round. I don't think I've ever got knocked out in the second round of a major championship ever. And I think I didn't even break 20, I didn't go under 23 seconds. It was awful. That girl that subsequently got caught for drugs literally was in the lane. I think she was I was probably like lane 7 or something, and she was in lane, I don't even know what lane she was, but literally in 3 steps she had caught me. Yeah, it was so embarrassing. I came off the track, right? It was just I was mortified. I didn't even think BBC interviewed me. I think I ran like 23.2 or something. It was awful. And then my coach, I saw Tony, my coach, he looked at me and he was just like, he goes to me, you know, if you're going to run like that, you might as well just get a job. You might as well just forget about it. Honestly, that conversation, like him just saying that totally switched everything up for me. At that point, I got back to London. You know, I got back home. I changed. I moved. So at that point, I was living at home. I moved from my parents' house to Slough. I used to train at Windsor in Eton. I moved. I got a room. I got a room. Changed up my whole thing. Became super dedicated. Like I was just training. So the boys I was training with, Tim Benjamin, Marlon, was Rico training with that? I don't know if Rico was training at that point. I had a whole group. I was like the only girl training with them at this point. And I just became like, I just did everything they did. I became like a super athlete. I trained twice a day. I was going, because I lived 5 minutes down from the track, I was going home sleeping, coming back and doing weights with the boys, did everything. My whole mindset changed. And because of that, like, you know, I got into the Olympic final for 200 meters, which was never ever what I never knew I was a 200 meter runner. I'd always did 100. So yeah, but I did the 100 and the 200 in Athens actually that year.
Love that story. So when did the switch happen where your parents actually saw that they had a very talented daughter and actually she could actually do something? When did that actually happen?
Never. My parents are Nigerian. When I tell you, like, people, I had this conversation with my therapist yesterday, this morning. My parents don't care. Like, okay, this is the thing. Okay, my mum, I remember she came. I think it was Bedford. That's as far as my dad would drive me to go to a championship, to go to anything, to Bedford, because it's not far from Milton Keynes. Some of my family live in Milton Keynes. Yeah. So my mum came once, and then I remember her sitting there. She's like, "When can we go home?" This was under 20. That was the first and last time I ever brought her to any competition ever again. My dad would sit there and watch and stuff. Yeah. This is like the under 23s. I remember the A's under 23s. So that's the story of my mum. Yeah. My dad was a bit more supportive. Like he would drive me. Like when I was much younger, my dad would like take me to the track, and he would pick me up from the track because it was quite late and stuff. And then when I was living at home, he would he would take me. He would like drive me to the train and he'd pick me up and stuff. So like he was supportive as much as he helped sometimes. But they weren't those parents that would come to my competitions. They would never come to my dad would occasionally when he would take me, but they would never come to a competition. The first competition my mum had ever watched really was Olympics in London. She'd never, and that was because the tickets were free. And they were giving you, do you know what I mean? And my dad was supposed to come, but he didn't come because he was